Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and it's time for our Gameweek 32 episode of the 100 Experts. We're going to see exactly what our 100 Experts are doing in terms of transfers, captaincy and much more. So guys, if you enjoyed this one, make sure you drop a like. Do subscribe if you're new around here. Let's see what the experts are up to this week. So as always, a massive thank you to all of our participants this game week. Again, we've had a really short turnaround between one game week and the next. So really thank everyone who got involved this week. And I'm super curious to see exactly what they are up to this game week, because I'm sure a lot of you are maybe lacking direction in this game week. And who better to trust than a bunch of great FPL managers all combining their data to provide something great. So, of our 100 expert managers, we are seeing 44%, so just under half, making one transfer this game week. 9% are actually making two transfers this game week, maybe taking a hit in order to do so. Although we don't have anyone making 3 or more transfers this week, which does maybe suggest that this is not the best week to be going crazy with your transfers, which is even more proven by the fact that only 1% are using their wild card this week. One single person. So, again, not really a wild card week. It's probably a better idea to maybe take a hit, make 2 transfers rather than going all in on the wild card. And once again, guys, proving that maybe this is not the week to go crazy with transfers, we are seeing 46% of our experts not making a single transfer this game week. Yes, this is probably a really strong week to roll with just under half of our expert managers making 0 transfers this week. So yeah, make of that what you will, but what it really proves to me is that if you can afford to roll a transfer, maybe don't make too many changes to your team and stick with what you've got. Maybe that is a good idea with so many of our experts actually not making a transfer at all. But we still do have some transfer being made in very particular areas, which I do want to share with you today. But first of all, let's have a look around the world to see where the overall player base of FPL are making their transfers. So once again, Isak is the #1 most popular transfer in for this game week. Back-to-back game weeks for him after another goal in game week 31. So the hype on Isak is very strong indeed, with Phil Foden and his 20-pointer coming in second here as well. A lot of people actually have sold Foden recently and maybe looking to bring him back, seeing what he produced against Aston Villa last night. Nori coming in third as a real popular transfer as well, but there's a big drop-off here, and the rest of the transfers, there's not really too much interest in any player really, and it does seem like even the overall player base is holding back on their transfers this week. We're seeing significantly reduced numbers on the transfers this week compared to previous game weeks, which does, I think, say a lot. But Isak is the hype player, followed by Foden and Nori. Let's see if our experts agree with any of these picks. Well, they do, and as usual, we're seeing the top 3 most transferred in players of this game week also being transferred in by our experts. So our experts do like Isak, Foden and Nori, but maybe not in the order that you think it would be in. Also, Raya, a little bit further down the list, we do see our experts interested in the Arsenal goalkeeper as well. But outside of that, really, none of these players are being brought in by our experts. In fact, Salah, White, Palmer, Onana, Gabriel, and Ortega, no one is bringing in, and some of these players are even being sold. But what I should say is that some of these players, well, our experts already have them. So, for example, Salah, Palmer, and Gabriel are pretty much at 95+% owned by our experts anyway, and if you want these players, you probably should have them in place by now. So it's not to say that they're a bad transfer, but it's more to say that the top FPL managers will already have these players locked and secured in their team for the long term. Outside of that, we've got a few players that our experts don't own already. For example, Ben White. Not many people own him, but maybe a couple do. No one's really looking to bring him in this week for some reason, though. Outside of that, you can kind of understand, I guess, Onana on Ortega. Onana about to face Liverpool. Ortega, very much a short-term goalkeeper option because we expect Edison to be back within the next couple of weeks. So, Onana, yes, he's seeing some transferred in the overall player base, as is Ortega, but our experts simply do not like these picks for FPL this week. Now, speaking of goalkeepers, the most popular transfer out among our experts is actually Areola, joint with Doughty and Lascelles, but we've got the news that Areola is going to be injured, and unfortunately, he doesn't have any double game weeks for the rest of the season either. So despite his great price tag, he's not really a goalkeeper anyone really wants to own long term, and he has been a goalkeeper that maybe has caused a few issues in the past with a lack of, points for a lot of this season as well. So Areola is finally being sold by our experts, and a lot of goalkeepers goalkeeper changes are being made, which is really interesting because this season we usually see with our experts, they don't typically make goalkeeper transfers, so it's very, very rare we will see actually a goalkeeper as the #1 most transferred out player. We've got Doughty and Lascelles here as well. Doughty, you can understand, he's got a little injury going on at the moment, and also maybe not 100% finished, but also, you know, Luton, you know, they are conceding a lot of goals at the moment. No more double game weeks again, so we keep similar theme here. Areola, Doughty, no more double game weeks for the rest of the season, and you know, not expected too many clean sheets. Injuries are kind of looming there as well, and also the fact that Luton Town just are not a very good defence, and they don't have particularly good fixtures in general. Lascelles, another injured player here, so he has been ruled out for the rest of the season and beyond with a ACL injury. So Lascelles looked like a really nice cheap defender to go for at one point, but now he has been ruled out, and now we've got no Lascelles, we've got no Botman, and I think some of our experts are maybe trying to move to some other defenders, other cheap defenders that might work. So really, we are seeing goalkeepers and defenders actually be the most transferred out players this week. We've got a few transfers out for Saka. He was obviously injured in the midweek, but he should be fine to play in game week 32. But 32 and 33 against Brighton, then Aston Villa, maybe not the best fixtures in the world, so you can understand why some people might look to remove Saka, especially if there are small concerns around his fitness. Tony has been a little bit of a disappointing pick as well. Those who own Tony looking to remove him. And we've also got some transfers out for the likes of Darwin, which I find bizarre, but there you go. Maddison, Muniz, Son, Watkins, but with so few transfers out for each of those players, I would say that those are not really strong trends, and we could probably mostly ignore that. The main players being removed seem to be players who are injured this week. So we're seeing a lot of people not making transfers, and those who are making transfers are using them to remove injured players. So that is going to be a real key to your decision making this week. So if you have got an injured player and you need to replace them, well, there are a few options. So Ait-Nouri is our #1 expert transfer pick of the game week. We also saw Ait-Nouri as the #1 defender transfer of last game week as well. So back-to-back weeks for Ryan Ait-Nouri being the best defender to pick up for your FPL team, this time for game week 32. I think people have now seen for a fact that Ait-Nouri is a fantastic FPL asset because he is a defender playing as an attacker. He's playing in the kind of left wing position for Wolves at the moment, and against Burnley he looked absolutely amazing, on fire, always in those dangerous areas, taking shots in the box, creating for his teammates as well, and really unlucky not to get even more points than the 8 points that he did pick up. What more can you want in FPL than a defender who's playing as an attacker? That is exactly what we want when picking these defensive assets that have really failed us a lot for this season. So if you're looking for a new defender, Ryan Ait-Nouri, without a shadow of a doubt, is your guy. West Ham up next, a double game week in game week 34 as well. Big points are coming for him. After Ait-Nouri, we do see Foden coming in as the second most popular transfer in of the game week. So I wonder if with these first 2 transfers, maybe even 3 transfers, we are seeing kind of maybe some reactionary transfers from our experts, picking up those players who scored well in game week 31. Just an interesting observation there, but definitely Foden after a 20-pointer, he has once again proven, you know, he's proving time and time and again, he is more than capable of a huge haul. We've seen a couple of 20-pointers for him this season, we've seen 15-pointers, we've seen a couple of other 10-pointer pluses for Foden. He is just that guy, and we've still got some more great fixtures for Manchester City coming up, starting with Crystal Palace in game week 32, where you expect Foden to again play a huge part of that, particularly with the form and the confidence that he is showing at the moment. Raya is the goalkeeper of choice with 5 transfers in. The Arsenal man is keeping clean sheet after clean sheet, and even games against Brighton and Aston Villa, you still expect Arsenal to keep things solid. They can keep a clean sheet against anyone at the moment, and they continue to prove that. So going in on more Arsenal players, Arsenal defenders ahead of game week 34 with that double is definitely a good idea, and Raya is the goalkeeper of choice. And outside of that, again, a real mix of players. A few people looking to pick up Erling Haaland, with him expected to start against Crystal Palace at the weekend. Branthwaite and Guardiola and Isak also with a few transfers in for him. What's interesting is that Isak, only 3 transfers in for him. It's not that many compared to the overall player base who seem to love Isak at the moment. But I guess a lot of our experts do already own Isak. Maybe around 15 to 20% of our experts already owning Isak. But I don't think he is being hyped as much in the expert circles as perhaps he is in the rest of the player base. And I think a big part of that is chip strategy, with a lot of our experts looking to go into game week 34 with as many double game week players as possible. Obviously, Isak is not not that guy. However, Isak, I think by the time we get to game week 37 and Newcastle have a double, we might see a lot more people going for Isak, particularly among our experts, because he's going to be crucial at that point. Burn, interesting one there as well, potentially. If you're looking for a new Newcastle defender, Burn is a pretty cheap option there. Should be nailed for the rest of the season. If you think Newcastle are going to keep many clean sheets for the rest of the season, and Saka and Solanke complete our list there. So based on that, let's suggest some transfers for you. So, of course, goalkeeper transfer, first of all, Areola out, Raya in. Think it makes a lot of sense. Really, really obvious transfer if you are not looking to free hit in game week 34 and you want that double game week goalkeeper. Easy for me to say. Raya is probably going to be that guy. Nice, cheap way into the Arsenal defence there. We've got Doughty or Lascelles. If you have one of those players, taking them to Aït-Nouri could be really beneficial as well, because obviously Aït-Nouri being such a fantastic FPL asset at the moment, and Doughty and Lascelles very much not being good FPL assets. I think that's the kind of move that can really, really help improve your team. Of course, if you've got any other defenders or goalkeepers that you don't really like the look of at the moment, you could consider removing those for the likes of Aït-Nouri, Raya as well, if you fancy that. Moving up the field, Saka or Maddison to Foden is a possibility, although, to be fair, there was no strong trends on which midfielder to sell in order to get Foden. So that's going to be more at your discretion. We've got these suggestions out here. I'm not sure I'm fully on board with selling Saka for Foden. Maddison is slightly more understandable, and they're similar prices as well. So if you can do Maddison to Foden, I think that could be a good move in the end. And we've got Tony to Haaland here as our final suggested transfer. If you do have Tony and you can afford to move into Haaland, I think that's a really, really obvious transfer move to make ahead of this Crystal Palace fixture, because of course Erling Haaland is going to be a captain candidate for game week 32. And speaking of, we need to talk about captaincies, because this week I'm sure a lot of you guys are scratching your heads at the moment wondering, who should we be captaining? There feels like there's so many options this week. It feels like there could be a real split, and there kind of is a bit of a split. So among our 100 experts, the captain they're going for game week 32 is, well, 48% Cole Palmer. So it is under half, but it's still the largest number you will see on your screen today. Palmer is the standout captaincy for our experts in this fixture against Sheffield United. We know Palmer has shown some fantastic form recently, and we know Sheffield United is a very, very easy and favourable fixture for any attacker. So if Palmer can continue his good form, taking those penalties, scoring from here and there, getting assists as well in and around the box, then this Sheffield United game is going to be absolutely chef's kiss for him. I can see him doing really well. I'm sure most of you guys will agree, but he is not the only option, because in second place we do see Salah with 22% captaincy. He plays against a Manchester United side which are really struggling defensively at the moment. In fact, Man United are actually posting some of the worst defensive numbers in the league over the last few weeks and months. So Salah, with his great form that he showed against Brighton, let's see how he gets on in game week 31 tonight as well. You guys will know possibly by the time you watch this video, you will already know how well Salah is doing in game week 31. But with that form that Salah has had, with the way Salah has just been such a goated FPL asset for so long, we know how good he is when he is constantly doing well against Manchester United. You know, this is a player who has scored 8 goals and has 4 assists in his last 5 Premier League appearances against Manchester United. It is known very, very publicly. Everyone kind of knows that Manchester United is Salah's favourite, his favourite game to play. It really, really is. I think he's scored something like in each of his last 4 away fixtures as well. So some people will say, well, it's an away fixture. Is that going to make a difference? Well, Salah in the Premier League has scored in his last 4 games against Manchester United. So although usually I don't take too much, I don't look too strongly at players' favourite fixtures or whatever like that, but it's very, very clear that Salah has a strong trend of always scoring against Manchester United. So this really, really could be huge. And I think second place is maybe doing him a kind of a injustice, because I think a lot of FPL managers are Manchester United fans, or a lot of people kind of have this impression that Manchester United, yeah, they may be posting bad defensive numbers, but you know, they'll always somehow manage to keep the ball out of the back of the net or whatever like that. But a lot of data is you know, kind of pushing us towards Salah as the best captain, but Palmer is still the #1 choice. After that, We've got Erling Haaland on 15% and Son on 13%, so really tight between these final two players. I actually thought I'd see Son a little bit higher than this, but apparently not. He is our fourth choice. Haaland, after a full rest in the midweek, expected to play and probably score against Crystal Palace, what with being the top scorer in the Premier League, and Heung-min Son finishing off the list here against Nottingham Forest at home. Possibly we might see Son now on the left wing with Richarlison ready for a start in Game Week 32, but don't let that put you off too much, because Son at 13%, there's still a very decent trend there towards captaining him. In terms of differentials, because we've got two 1%ers among our 100 experts, one of them is captaining Solanke against Luton Town, which I think is okay, playing the fixture a little bit there, and one person is captaining Watkins this game week as well against Brentford with the vice captain on Palmer. So they're kind of hoping that Watkins will play against Brentford, and if he does, maybe he could really produce something, but the vice captain is on Palmer just in case things don't quite go to plan there, and Watkins maybe is still unavailable against Brentford. I guess that remains to be seen there. But the trends are there, guys. If you are wondering who to captain and you just want to place your faith in the experts, then Cole Palmer against Sheffield United is your answer. If you fancy going a little bit different, Salah, Haaland and Son all have strong enough trends that they are more than worthy of your captain's armband this game week. I think it's one of those game weeks where there's no right answer. That's why we're seeing such a split here, but there is still a trend towards Palmer if you just want that decision taken away from you. You can't find a way of splitting these four players. Well, trust the experts. They say Palmer. And the final question I asked our experts this game week was, what is your target rank for the end of the season? And I thought this would be interesting because I remember kind of in years gone by, we have this whole idea of top 10k finishes. Of course, most of the time when we're talking about a top 10k, top 10,000 places finish, we all often think of, you know, years where there was probably only around 10,001 players actually actively playing FPL anyway. And I think things have changed a little bit in recent years, which much harder to get that top 10k finish. What is the new top 10k? What is the new target rank that our top managers are really going for this week? Well, one person is targeting a top 1 million rank, so, you know, it has to be said that even the best managers won't have a fantastic season every year, and our targets are going to be different depending on who you are. We've got 5% looking to break into the top 500k for the end of the season, but we really do see most of our experts looking for at least a top 100k finish. 89% of our experts are targeting top 100,000 for the end of the season at an absolute minimum, with more than half, 59%, wanting to go into the top 50k by the end of the season. We also do have a couple of our experts this week targeting a top 100 finish. One of our experts even targeting a top 50 finish this season as well. So we do have a lot of our experts really well and truly involved in the top 1,000. One thing I found quite interesting is that a lot of the managers kind of at the higher ranks currently are targeting a rank actually lower than the rank they currently have. Maybe just looking to consolidate. For example, there was a manager who is around 4,000th in the world this season, and they're targeting top 10,000 as their final finish. So interesting there. The higher you are, often the lower your target is, which is kind of cool there. But in general, guys, I think what we're trying to get at here is, what is the new top 10k? What is the new realistic target rank for top managers to be aiming for? Well, the average, the mean among all of our experts is 87,327. So if you can finish within the top 87,327 places in FPL this season, you are competing with the best of the best. That is the new top 10k as far as my research has proven. But obviously, depending on who you are, depending on where you are right now, you might have slightly different targets, but I'd say top 100,000 is definitely something you guys can be targeting, particularly if you're following along with the expert data every single game week at an absolute kind of minimum. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I would love to hear your opinions on the top target ranks. Like, what is your current target rank based on your position at the moment? Let me know in the comment section. And what do you think the new target rank should be each season for top managers? Do you think 87,000 is about the right place, or do you think actually it's maybe a little bit lower or higher? It'd be good to get some of your thoughts there. Make sure you do drop a like before you disappear. Do subscribe if you're new around here, and don't forget to check out the tier list video from yesterday as well. But until I see you on tomorrow's video, I will see you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.